Point Special honestly has a lot to do with my whole life course. I have been drinking this beer since I was in college, and I knew that this was such an important beer to the community, and to be able to tell that story is a huge honor. Up until the craft era, Point only made 2 beers a year, Point Special and Point Bock, and that's it. These were the beers that carried the company, so to taste Point Special, you are literally going into beer history just having one of these beverages. When Prohibition ended in 1933, there were 750 breweries in America. By 1973, there were only 65 breweries left. So huge consolidation going on within the brewing industry, and all these little regional breweries like Stevens Point were going out of business left and right. There was this newspaper columnist in Chicago named Mike Royko. He put American beer to the test with imports from around the world. It was one of the first beer taste tests ever publicized. The results from the taste test were that the #1 beer in the world was this beer from Germany, but the #1 beer in the second place in the world was Point Special. So suddenly you have this small regional brewery that they don't even know how he got the beer in Chicago. There's like all sorts of rumors and stories about how he got the beer because the brewery was not distributing that far, and it saved the company. TWA, the airline, wanted to have 200 cases a week. There were distributors all around the United States that wanted to suddenly carry the product. The brewery was concerned that they wouldn't be able to keep up with the capacity to brew that much beer, and so they said, no, if you want Point Special beer, you have to come to Stevens Point to get it. I think one of the things that also makes Point Brewery special and the beer special is that throughout its history, the brewery has had opportunities to do more with the beer further from Stevens Point, and they've always said, no, we want to make sure the people of Stevens Point can have their beer. They've always stayed loyal to the people of Stevens Point, and in turn, the people of Stevens Point have always stood by their brewery. It's like a solid beer. It's got tradition, it's got a history to it, and it's been the flagship beer for the company ever since.